Hey guys, today we're talking about Vendread. Vendread is pretty interesting because they have a somewhat unique mechanic, albeit a bit janky, so I'll go ahead and show you guys here. So, let's go ahead and just grab some Vendread cards. So, we have Vendread Savior here, we have Executor, and of course we have Vendread Slayer. If you've played the solo gate, you still might not know how Vendread works because honestly, rituals are weird. They follow, well, they have like specific rules, like for ritual summoning that you might know because you don't play rituals. And if you don't know, I mean like, you just don't know because they're jank, honestly. But Vendread is a bit extra jank, I guess. So let's make sure I have grabbed every card here that's vital. Okay, I think I have most of them now. Alright, so to start off with, Vendreads, they essentially gain effects based on which cards you use to ritual summon them, but there's actually another condition. You need to specifically ritual summon using a Vendread card on the field, specifically on the field, so a lot of them have this effect. A Vendread monster ritual summon using this card on the field gains this effect. You can only use the preceding effect of Vendread Revenants once per turn. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls, banish it. So, what's especially weird about the effects is the effects here are soft once per turn, as you can see, once per turn. Quick effect, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls, banish it. So you can, for example, give like Vendread Scavenger, Executor, Slayer, Battle Lord, whichever one you want the effect to quick effect, banish a special summoned monster your opponent controls. But the hard once per turn on this effect is actually on Revenants. So Revenants can only give this effect once per turn, which is a little weird, but whatever, I guess. So if I, for example, special summon Vendread Revenants to my field or normal summon, it doesn't really matter. Then I tribute it from field to special summon like Vendread Slayer. Vendread Slayer would gain the effect to banish, of course. But then if I go ahead and summon back Revenants on the same turn, I cannot tribute, like, for example, Revenants again to give Battle Lord the effect. But like, if I did have the effect on Slayer and Battle Lord, I could use them both on the same turn, and that would work. But like, this is weird because I don't really think it's possible to ritual summon on your opponent's turn. All of these are ritual spells, so they're actually ignition. So none of these work, at least. I think there might be one, or maybe there isn't. Would need to go through them all again, but I don't believe so, right? Let's see. Ravenous, Vendread Evolution. Yeah, no. So I believe like Meglyph has a card that allows you to like ritual summon on your opponent's turn, like a few actually, but it's kind of weird, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But like, even though this is a soft once per turn, gaining the effect, not really doable, so you won't really control more than one. But that's not the important thing. So if we actually read this over again though, so the important thing here, let's see. Vendread monster ritual summon using this card on the field gains this effect. This is not optional, which is a bit weird. But because this is not optional, if I, for example, for some reason have to summon like Vendread Slayer with my like Revenants on field, well, Revenants actually isn't a good example. I believe the better one to use is like, for this kind of example is, well, which one was it? Oh yeah, I think it was either Core or Hound Horde. I don't remember which one exactly this actually comes up in. But I believe if you do summon like Vendread Slayer, right? Using one of these guys on the field, you wouldn't be able to then gain the effect later, because you do want to, like, if you summon Vendread Slayer, you want to get Slayer off the field to perform the search. So as you can see here, if this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send one Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard. You want to utilize that effect, so if you don't, then, well, kind of awkward, because you don't have the ability to do your plays if Vendread Slayer, if you don't get to use the two kind of, the one foolish and one search. This allows you to add any ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is pretty cool, I guess. But not super important, I guess. Or is it? No, it's super important. Who am I kidding? Especially now that we have Scar of the Vendread. We can send Scar of the Vendread to add any Vendread spell trap, while simultaneously adding like ritual spell. So then this is also a body, I believe, for like the ritual summoning as well. And then of course you can use Vendread Savior if you link off Vendread or Vendread, then you can also do the effect of, you can target one Vendread card in your graveyard, add it to your hand, which is pretty cracked, all things considered. Vendread Savior goes pretty damn hard. But I don't really know the combo lines super well, so I'll mainly stick with just like basic theory on Vendread, I guess. So Vendread Battlelord has an interesting effect. So this card specifically has this interesting effect. You can banish a Vendread card from your graveyard, any Vendread card, and declare one type of card, monster, spell, or trap for the rest of this turn. Your opponent can activate cards or effects of that type. If this ritual summoning card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one ritual monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send one Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard. So this is pretty similar to the effect of Slayer as well, but this effect allows you to add any ritual monster. I believe the play is to actually add Ben 10 off of this, so that you can search Diviner, and then Diviner can like send like potentially Natis later, but like for the time being, I think the play is usually to send Herald of the Arclight, and that just allows you to do a search. Herald of the Arclight happens to not even be like a hard once per turn, not a soft once per turn, not even a once per turn, which is interesting enough, but whatever. So then, next on the list is Vendread Executor. So Executor does not actually perform, well, it does perform a search, but this search is different from the other ones. If this ritual summon card is destroyed by battle or is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, while in its owner's monster zone, you can add one Vendread card from your deck to your hand. So you shouldn't be able to trigger this on your own unless you're doing something crazy like Yugioh Invader or something dumb. But aside from that, Vendread Executor makes it so your whole board is not possible to target with card effects except for itself. So this is pretty intriguing, because if Vendread Executor is not targetable, then your opponent cannot, well, target anything on your board. And a way to do that would be with Sprite Elf. And Sprite Elf, of course, is very useful in the deck to begin with, which is kind of crazy, I guess. So, of course, you can summon back Diviner, and I believe there is some other usage. I don't quite remember what it was. but even if you don't have Diviner, it'll still like give your entire board targeting protection, which is pretty useful in certain situations. Most notably, like just for example, Tearlaments actually, nearly every one of their effects, or every one of their effects actually, requires targeting of some kind, so basically your opponent cannot use any of their effects on your monsters, so they're like towers at home, kind of. I guess that's one way to think of it. So, pretty cool. And of course, in Archetype, they have Vendread Core, so if you make Vendread Executor using like Vendread Core, Hound Horde, and Revenants, that would make Revendread Executor insanely strong. Being able to banish a monster, banish a spell trap, and not being targetable, and these are quick effects, of course. That's about as strong as you get if we're sticking to just exclusively Vendread, I guess. And I believe we're missing some cards I didn't show. If I can find them. And yep, there we go. Vendread Anima. This card is kind of cracked and not cracked at the same time. I don't know. Mixed feelings on this one. It's a mixed bag. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished Vendread monsters, except Vendread Anima, special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except for zombie monsters. A Vendread monster ritual summon using this card on the field gains the following effect. You can only use each of the preceding effects of Vendread Anima once per turn, banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. So, the most notable usage of this card is that it can special summon a banished Vendread, and that actually synergizes well with like Revendread Origin, for example, where you can banish zombie monsters from your graveyard to do your ritual summons. So then you can, I guess, like Anima, bring back like Hound Horde, for example, and then do a ritual summon with Hound Horde on field to gain the effect to like target a spell trap your opponent controls, banish it. So it's useful in that sense, but getting all these cards to the graveyard and such is honestly probably gonna be a bit annoying. There's no good way to do it, I don't think, but noticeably the most annoying thing, of course, is the zombie lock. It's not like that bad, I guess, because technically Scar of the Vendread locks you right here. Special summon this card, and if you do, while it is face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except for Vendread monsters. I guess it's only while it's face up, so you'll probably be using it to like use as link material for a Vendread savior maybe, or potentially using it as ritual fodder to kind of like get your Vendread monsters on the board and do stuff, I guess. Of course, you have Vendread Charge, which allows you to just special summon a Vendread monster from your deck, which is, in general, good, I guess. Kind of a mixed bag, I guess. So the thing about Vendread Charge specifically, though, is that you want to play a lot of zombies, and if you don't have a zombie to send, I guess you don't really have the ability to special summon a Vendread. And of course, when you want to special summon a Vendread, you cannot special summon your ritual monsters. So this doesn't necessarily help you gain access to your Vendread monsters. In fact, getting Revendread Slayer in hand is pretty damn important. Not being able to do so would really suck. I believe, like, all you need in your hand is, like, if you have Diviner and Revendread Slayer, that's enough to do a pretty decent end board. I believe you can end on, like, 2 negates. No, 2 negates, I think. And then you have, like, 3 or 4 interactions, I believe. That's pretty normal, I think. And is why you might want to consider playing, I don't know, like pre-preparation. Prep allows you to like add Revendred Slayer and Revendred Origin because it specifically mentions Revendred Slayer here. If Revendred Slayers you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you would banish this card from your graveyard instead. So Origin, of course, protects. Let's see. Here it is. It protects Revendred Executor because this card's name becomes Revendred Slayer while it is on the field. Same with Avendred Savior here. And of course, Revendred Slayer. So it protects these three and only those three. They're essentially kind of the same card, I guess. Battle Lord, of course, is good for like setting up OTKs by like stopping your opponent from being able to respond. Vendread Scavenger, of course, is somewhat useful for this as well. It's only during the main phase, which makes this awkward, but Scavenger has the effect to, during the main phase, quick effect, you attribute one other zombie monster. This card gains attack equal to the attributed monster's original attack until the end of this turn. If you control Revendred Slayer and this card is in your graveyard, though, you can special summon this card, which is useful for various things. Notably, like, if you properly summon this, you can then go ahead and, like, summon Executor using it, and then summon it back. Or, like, a Battle Lord. Whichever one's fine. So, with the ritual-specific, like, rules, like, to how you ritual summon, let's say, for example, we have... We'll just go with Doom King Balladrock. If we have Doom King Balladrock, for example, and Revendred Executor, and we want to ritual summon, like, Revendred Executor with Origin, let's say we have Revenants on the field, and then Doom King in hand. We can't ever use Vendread Revenants as, like, material for, like, the ritual summoning of Executor in this case, because we don't have the right levels. And to that, you might say, like, what? But we have, like, level 12 combined, you know? Like, 4 plus 8. Why can't we use Revenants? Well, that's because you have to use equal or greater levels. But the way, like, ritual summoning works, if I have, like, equal with Doom King, I have to just use Doom King. If I have, like, Revenants here, right, then I'd have to use, like, well, I guess just Revenants. But if I had, like, a level 7, like Jacobolin, I could use Revenants and Jacobolin. But if I have Doom King Balladrock, I have to use only Doom King Balladrock. I cannot use both Doom King Balladrock and Vendread Revenants, and of course I cannot use Vendread Revenants by itself because it is only a level 4. If that makes sense. That it's kind of weird, but that's kind of how ritual summoning works. So sometimes you can't get, like, the discards you want off of this, which makes it jank to builds around to an extent, and somewhat, like, annoying. Kind of a pain. Honestly. Well, I believe, though, that this piece of support has, is going to, like, really help a lot. So, Ravenous Vendread special summons a Vendread monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in face down defense position, except for Vendread Scavenger. And then you can apply the following effect: ritual summon any one Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing monsters you control, including the monster special summoned by this card, whose total level equals or exceeds the level of the ritual monster. So this is pretty cracked, because before this card, you would have to manually, like, special summon your Vendread monsters, and then you'd have to do the ritual summon from there. But this card kind of does, like, one of those things for you, like 2 of those things for you, actually. So pretty useful card overall. And of course, also worth mentioning is, of course, with Vendread Slayer and Scar of the Vendread. And how they're actually really good levels for Beatrice. Which is pretty cool, I guess. I don't know exactly what you might send off of Beatrice, but Vendread makes Beatrice super easily. And I mean, if you wanted to play Zombie World with Vendread, I guess you just send Doom King and then Banshee, and that's it. Now you have Doom King and Zombie World up as well. So like that works, I guess. But yeah, in general, they work like fairly well with like some other ritual stuff like Megalith and actually maybe not Megalith. I don't think Megalith works well enough. I guess it's mostly like Diviner, and then I believe it was actually Incantations. So actually, if I recall correctly, Vendreads are actually a little pseudo to jank, so they don't work with certain cards that well. So notably, Drytron is not good with Vendread. If we consider like the actual Vendread effects, like that you would gain off of stuff like Vendread Revenants, Hound Horde Core, whatever. Because every single Drytron card has this effect. You cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summon set the turn you activate this effect. So this is for the whole turn. So if I summon Vendread Revenants via like special summon, I won't be able to activate Drytron Alpha Thubin's effect to like special summon it. But if I activate like Drytron Alpha Thubin's effect to special summon itself, I get locked out of Vendread Revenant. So kind of like sucks that like one of the best ritual engines not really usable with this. But still, like, all things considered, this is a pretty playable deck. And the strategy and how you utilize the cards are still fairly interesting. So if you're looking for something fresh, maybe try out Vendread. Vendread also, notably, if we're looking at just pure Vendread, the only UR that you need is a Vendread Savior if we're looking at pure. If you're looking to upgrade the deck a bit more, Herald of the Arclight is only an SR, and then Diviner is a UR, which you might want 3 of, and of course there is Pre-Prep, which is also an SR, so these cards are very good, but the deck is still playable without them, so honestly I recommend like giving them a shot. Even if we were to make a normal rare, just like version of this deck, I think, like, I don't think you'll get like constantly like playable hands or anything, but it should be playable enough, like considering it would be like a normal rare deck, I guess, right? In fact, let's take a quick look and let's see what we lose out on. So you lose out on Battlelord, Executor, and then you don't really go into Chimera either. Scavenger doesn't really matter because you can't run pre-prep because that's an SR. Aside from that, it's like most of the deck is still available for you to mess around with. And having like, let's see, you can only make up to Vendread Slayer, I suppose. So, considering how the levels work, we can still go Revenant and Hound Horde to make a Slayer that can do 2 quick effect banishes, being able to banish a spell trap and a monster, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Also noticeable, I guess, is that the attack increase for like some of these Vendread cards are actually permanent. And I guess that would allow Knights to be playable. Because this is not once per turn, right? Yeah. So Vendread Slayer gains 300 attack and then attack again. So it's like a 3000 attack monster. And then it keeps ramping up. which is pretty cool, I guess. Pretty fine. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.